Okay, gentlemen. So we are going to discuss today about construction labor. It's chapter 16 in the textbook, construction labor. In this chapter, first allow me to say Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, Salatu Wassalamu ala Rasulullah, Rabbi Shrah li Sadri wa Yassir li Amri, wa Hlul Uqdatan min Lisani Yafqahu Qawli. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah to each one of you. So we are going to discuss about construction labor. It is about chapter 16 in the textbook. So the outline of today's discussion is that we will be talking about first, we will be talking about human resource management, how we are at the organizational level. There is Department of Human Resources for employing of people and training or keeping record for salary and after retirement benefits. So then that take care for the human resources for the organization. So we will be talking about the at the organization level. Then we will talk about labor resource, labor as a workforce, as a labor resource. Then we will discuss about the history of labor organizations, history of labor organizations. So we will discuss important labor laws in the context of USA, and we will discuss what are labor movements, how the labor organizations like labor unions, and then we will discuss how contractors are going to make a labor agreement. So we will, you will be able to find a labor cost of labor in construction projects. Right? And we will also discuss like how we can manage a volunteer labor crew if there is a disaster or something or an earthquake. So then we will also focus on what is the labor hour and productivity of labor. Okay. So by this way, we will find the labor burden. Like if you work in a company, so company is going to pay you the monthly salary, okay? But company also pay you the your retirement benefit or your medical allowance. It means you are going to cost more than what you are going to take the take home salary. Okay, so that extra all benefits that you are going to get from the organization, we call it labor burden. Okay, so including your take home salary plus the labor burden. So how much a person or laborer is going to cost to the company. So we will also find the burden hourly wage rate. And in our like bid estimate or project estimates, how we are going to price labor or how we are going to find the labor cost. And also in this chapter, you will be able to learn in some countries, say for example USA, UK, or Australia, they say they are welfare states, so they take care for their employees during unemployment. Or they get unemployment allowance or they get retirement benefit. So every worker is going to get these benefits. So how the system works over there in those developed countries, we will also learn about that how the system is going to work. That during the job, people are going to contribute, or the organization or their companies are going to contribute, and when they are going to get unemployed or they are going to get retired, so they get those benefits from the system, like social security, medical allowance, or unemployment allowance. So all these things you will learn how the system is going to work in those developed countries to make like a welfare state. So these all these things we are going to discuss in this chapter. Inshallah, we will go step by step. So let's see, we are going to start with the simple things. Is human resource management. Okay, at the organization level, human resource management. Human resource management deals with all aspects of human resources, from resource planning to acquiring, developing and managing the project team with a view to making the most effective use of people involved. Human resource management is the strategic approach to the effective and efficient management of people or labor force in an organization. It is designed to maximize employees' performance in service of an employer's strategic objective. So how we can get maximum benefit from their employees, how organizations can train their people and get maximum benefit from their employees. Human resource plans of an organization include a personal plan and their compensation plan and training and development plan, how they are going to develop their human resources and how they are going to provide a training, or in case of any accident, so they get the compensation also from their organization. So how organizations are going to support those labor force, workers or their employees. Human resource strategy, in which focus is mainly on innovation, growth, and decentralized structuring, of a firm is classified as differentiation. So see, if our focus is on innovation and growth, and that system we don't want more centralized, so we want to give authority to the people at their section levels. So it means we are implementing a different differentiation. Job analysis describe the process of gathering, analyzing, and synthesizing information about the jobs that are being done and any new jobs that are in search. So the job analysis, like we are going to gather the information about the job and how it is being done and how new jobs are being seen, that how many new jobs are expected, So we are planning for that, those jobs. Process of identifying, assessing, and developing leadership is called succession planning. See, what it means is that who will succeed in the organization, who will be the next managing director, or who will be the next chief executive officer, CEO, chief executive officer of the organization. So it means we are doing succession planning. Like in Saudi Arabia, we have a king. So then, Muhammad bin Salman is who will be succeeding to the king, next time. So we are doing the succession planning that we are going to train that person, especially who can take charge of, next time. So the organization usually do this that who will succeed, they prepare their leadership, they focus on this and they are looking for very capable persons who can lead the organizations. Human resource planning is the process of forecasting. Human resource planning is the process of forecasting an organization's future demand for and supply of the right type of people in the right numbers. So human resource planning is the process of forecasting. We are going to forecast for an organization what is their future demand and how many people we need for the organization with their proper qualification and with the right number. Demand forecasting is the process of estimating the quantity and quality of people required to meet future needs of the organization. So demand forecasting, that we are going to how much is the quantity and quality of people, what kind of people we need for the organization, for the future demand. So this is all these things we discuss in the context of organization at top levels, how these organizations are going to train their people or employ their people, and they have their rules and regulation, in the human resource department, like what will be the qualification, what will be the hiring criteria, and what will be their annual benefits. So human resource management department. They keep all the records, okay, and they give estimate the retiring retirement benefit also, or other benefit during their service that they can give to their employees. So they arrange for training and develop their people. So it's at the organization level, their human resource manager or HR department or HR section is going to take care for all these things. What is the salary of the people? What are their benefits? And what are their training needs? And what are their retirement benefit or during the service benefit that they are going to pay to their employees, how they are going to take care for their employees, how they are going to support their employees, giving maybe like the tariff, some certificate, this is a salary certificate, or this is NOC, or you can say as a personal identification that this person is our employee, and anybody can support him, because this is our employee, and other department can extend support to this for making any his personal related things. For medical or for car license or vehicle transfer or these kind of things. So they can give these identification certificate to whom it may concern. So these kind of things, all the matters related to, during the employment of a person, they keep a record for all these things, their attendance or how the system will work. So it's the human resource at the organizational level. Now, from the organization level, we will come down to the labor resource. Okay, so we were, we discussed that there are 4M. So remember, we were talking about 4M. That there is, 1M is about material management. Second is about manpower. Okay? So in this actually, we use the word M is manpower. Manpower means workforce, okay, or labor resource. So it's about construction labor. Actually, this manpower component in this chapter we are going to discuss in the name of construction labor. So then other is machinery. M is machinery like construction equipment and materials. Okay, so money. Okay, so these 4M. Manpower component of 4M is by far the most variable and unpredictable. The manager must be aware of the following. Okay, so C4M is one is money, materials, manpower, and machinery. Okay. So before we have discussed about money matters, we have also discussed about construction equipment, machinery, and today we are going to discuss manpower. Okay. So it's variable and unpredictable. So sometimes for project you are in shortage of labor or skilled worker or those type of workers. So but anyway, so every project manager, he must be aware about the like labor organization, how labor organization are going to work, what are the labor laws in the country, and how to calculate the labor cost, okay, and how to increase productivity of labor. How to get maximum benefit from the labor by increasing their productivity. So we will discuss these things in detail, inshallah. First, next, we are going to just say something about the history of labor organizations. History of labor organization started in early 19th century. So we are going to cover from that, from very early ages. Crafts began organizing into groups called brotherhood or societies. Okay? So in the early 19th century, those trades or craft people, they started to making group in terms of brotherhood or societies. Probably you guys remember, in early, long time before, many people they were, they people were caught from Africa and transported to USA, and then in the old age, so people were used to take forced labor. They put in their factories or their fields, and they just give the labor force only the food, for working. So this was like forced labor working. But with the passage of time, so these craft workers, they started making groups and joint societies. So then there was a confrontation between management and workers. So sometimes confrontation. So how relationship between the workforce and the owner. So with this, with the passage of time, there was American Federation of Labor, AFL, American Federation of Labor, was organized by Samuel Gompers in 1886 to protect the skilled and craft workers. So there were like a protest at that time, but Samuel Gompers, he said they need to protect the skilled and trade workers. So and then there was American Federation of Labor was formed. So then after that, there was a building and construction trade department of the American Federation of Labor, represents all construction craft unions since 908. There was like American Building and Construction Trade Department, Building and Construction Trade Department of the AFL. They represent all craft union for construction trades. When we say trades, means there are labor like a carpenter, there is a plumber, there is a electrician, okay, a skilled worker. So it's these trades. American Federation of Labor, AFL, suspended industrial union in 1936. So there was a industrial union, so they suspended and those union, these union organized as a Congress of Industrial Organizations. So these industrial laborer workforce in the industrial organization, they were united under a new organization called Congress of Industrial Organization, CIO, Congress of Industrial Organization. In 1955, the two organizations combined to form the AFL, American Federation of Labor, and Congress of Industrial Organization, CIO, the major entity in USA today. So in 1955, these two organizations, they joined together, and these days also they work together as a single entity, AFL CIO. So with this, we are going to discuss some important labor legislation or labor laws that are, with the passage of time, they were developed by approved by the American Congress. So in 1890, there was a Sherman Antitrust Act. Okay. So what in this act, there was they were suppressing that formation of large corporations. They were emphasizing that corporations should be small and they should not be very big monopoly of large corporations. Okay. This is in 1990, then 1890, this was Act Sherman Antitrust Act to suppress the formation of large corporations, so that those large corporations, they should not make a monopoly. Then in 1908, Supreme Court supported union activity. So this was a major development that in court. They supported the union activity that labor army they can form unions. Okay. In 1914, Clayton Act. So there was employees they can negotiate with their employers for their wages and their benefits. So they can negotiate. 1931, another act, Davis-Bacon Act, was approved, and this wages and fringes need to be paid on the federal funded projects. So in this act, that all the wages and their benefits on the have to be paid on the federal funded projects. So they say that they will pay the other benefits also other than the wages on the federal funded project from by the central government. Then in 1935, Wigner Act, there was a National Labor Relation Act, National Labor Relation Act. So this was like and there was under this there was like a clearance house for grievances and issues related to complaints by by the labor. So there was a commission where people can. It was a National Labor Relation Board, National Labor Relation Board. So that they can, address grievances and issues from the labor and both from the employer side also. So in 1938, there was a Fair Labor Standard Act. In this act, they set that there should be minimum wages law, so that every year the government announced that minimum wage for the labor should be this much. And they also decided what is the maximum number of working hours. So they said that 40 hours per week, means 8 hours per week for 5 days. So 40 hours per week is the standard working time, and then more than that will be considered as a overtime. So in 1943, there was another act, Smith-Connolly Act. So in this act, they say a War Labor Dispute Act expedites settlement of dispute in wartime industries. So during the wartime, there should not be a strike or this thing, so industry should work. And they set up that disputes related to labor should be, addressed on a preferable basis, and so that the industry's production should be, good during the war times. And then in 1946, Hobbs Act protect employees from threat, force, or violence by union officials. So in 1946. In this act, they have they protected protect employees from the threat or force from or violence by union officials. So they put a check on the union officials that people should not, labor or workforce should not get unfair treatment from their union officials. So then another act, 1947, Taft-Hartley Act. So this was a Labor Management Relation Act. Union shop is legal. Give worker a chance to join the union. So here they give worker they should join the union, and this is the joining the union is legal, and people are encouraged to join the union within a specified period. So then they take care for their pay and other what are their dues. So all these things it was a good development. 1959 Landrum Griffin Act, Labor Management Reporting and Disclosure. Employees cannot make payment directly to union officials. They can pay to qualified funds for health and welfare. Records are subject to review by government auditors. So like unions were, asking employees to pay for their health insurance or for their welfare, for their retirement benefit. So it means that the government put some check on these things that employees will not pay directly to union officials, but the things, the money, all deductions or contribution will go into those bank accounts for the benefit of the laborers. So in 1964, there was a Civil Rights Act, like equal employment opportunities, that forbid on the basis of discrimination, put ban on discrimination on the basis of race or color or religion or gender, so or their national origin. And this act was also revised in 1991 Civil Rights Act. And again, there was some changes, all the governments from the president, they were issuing some changes for these, some modification a little bit to make it more better. Like there is a Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, so to take care for all these things for in the interest of the labor and the employers. So with this, we'll discuss little early labor legislation that is affected the labor unions and employers. These are important legislation, that people should know, even in other countries. Then how the labor movement, labor movement that we have discussed a little bit before, that in 1986, the American Federation of Labor, AFL, was founded. Okay. In 1905, industrial worker of the world, so they were recognized, that industrial worker, they got attention, in 1908, Building and Construction Trade Department of AFL was founded. So building trades, all that this is trades, plumber, this one is carpenter and electrician, mason. So all these trades, they have AFL. They have the Department of Building and Construction Trade Department. In 1930. We have AFL takes in industrial worker as federal locals. So industrial worker also they for federal locals. It's like they will have much say in those things, federal locals. 1936 federal locals. Okay. Committee of Industrial Organizations thrown out of AFL. Okay. So they got differences and they separated from AFL, CIO. Committee of Industrial Organizations were separated. Then in 1938, Congress of Industrial Organizations, Congress of Industrial Organizations was formed. And now in 1955, AFL and CIO, AFL and CIO, Congress of Industrial Organization reconcile differences and recombine as AFL-CIO. So this is like the organization that is going to in USA these days is the largest labor organization in the United States. So AFL-CIO. AFL-CIO. So there were other, smaller things were happening like international association, bridge, steel, ornamental, and there was international association for heat and frost insulators, asbestos workers. They have other unions, construction unions like International Brotherhood of boiler makers, oil and shipping builders, blacksmith and helpers. There was International Brotherhood of painters and allied trades. There was International Union of Bricklayers and Allied Craft Workers. There were International Union of Elevators, Constructors, International Union of Operating Engineers, International Brotherhood of Team Masters, Labor International Union of North America. So Operative Plasters and Cement Mason International Associations, International Association of Sheet Metal, Air, Rail and Transportation Workers. So there was also United Association of Journeymen and Apprentices of the Plumbing and Pipe Fitting Industry of the United States and Canada. And there was United Union of Roofers, waterproofers and allied workers. So these things were happening also, there was about the AFL-CIO construction unions. So with this background, we will move next to the labor agreement. It's, like there was there was a national union. There was a issue about jurisdiction. So that in which area, which union have jurisdiction. So and then how they can hire construction workers in the union hiring hall. So these things were also like for the people, construction worker, they need to change maybe from one contractor to other contractor. So we will discuss a little more about the open shop, inshallah, later. Let's come to the labor agreements. Just as the contractor enter into a contract with the client, the contractor enter into a contract or the labor agreement with each of the craft union. Just like a contractor or a construction company is going to make contract with the owner for construction of the building. Similarly, a contractor is going to make a contract with the union, labor union, to hire a laborer. Typical contracts include provisions governing. So each contract between the contractor and between the labor union or labor organization who is going to provide a labor force to the project. Okay, so they make a contract and those contract agreement main clauses, and they cover like how they will maintain the maintenance of the membership of the union, or what will be the fringe benefit, what is their wage rate per hour, what is about vacation pay, health and welfare. So these main things they are going to decide in those agreement like work rule. Okay, work rule. This is very negotiable part that they talk about work rules. Say for example, electrical materials will be handled by union electricians. Okay. So it means the electrician will do the electrical job. Okay, so they will not like the contractor will not put them in odd jobs. So plumbing jobs will be done by the plumber. Okay. And they will like labor, they will get apprentice program operation training. Okay, so labor they will get training, and by this way they get higher level promotion in their organizations. So then another main item in the agreement is wages. Okay, that there will be a stepwise increase of wages during the period of the contract. So they will have annual increment or things like this. Then another thing is the hours. Okay, weekly working hours and wage rates. So that how many hours they will work. 40 hours per week. Any hours work more than 40 hours per week will be treated as overtime. Worker control and union representation. This was also important thing that how they will keep union representation, and they can keep control of those workers. Operation of the union hiring hall. Okay, so they like hiring. What is their hiring policy? Okay, and so when they are going to change from one contractor to another contractor, there is a union area like work domain area, so people will be allowed to work under that area. So workers should not be sent to very far areas away from their families or this thing, that they will work near their area within their jurisdiction and close to their family. Any special provisions in the contract. So this is how the contractor is going to make the agreement with the labor union for hiring of a laborer or workforce, those trades, whatever they need. Now, we have to, as a project manager, we must have to able to find the cost. Okay, this is like the major topic. In this chapter, we are going to learn how we will find the labor cost. Okay, contractor must know how much cost to put in the bid to cover wages and associated contribution for all of the workers. So how much should be his take-home salary, like wages that will be paid maybe weekly or fortnightly? So, and how much the associated contribution organization will make towards this labor, for his social security or unemployment insurance, or towards his worker compensation, or his liability insurance, or the retirement benefit. So all these things, inshallah, we will mathematically we will learn in this chapter how much is the wages and how much is overburden that companies are going to bear for their paying the benefit of the labor force. The hourly average cost of a worker generally consists of the following components. So hourly cost, you see, it consists of following components, like it comprises on wages that the take-home salary they are getting, the other benefit they are getting, their like how much company pay towards his social security, how much company pay towards his unemployment insurance, how much a company will pay them workers' compensation insurance if they get some accident on site, how they should be compensated. There is a like contractor or risk insurance or general liability insurance from the company side if something damage to property, something happen. So we will discuss all these things. Subsistence pay, like some allowances we pay to the people or support for their tools. There is a retirement benefit that company, how much company will contribute or employer will contribute. We will discuss all these things numerically, and you will inshallah understand that how the system labor cost we are going to calculate for the project. So now that just in between small something separate topic. So as a knowledge box, like we are going to manage the voluntary labor crews. Okay, so if there is a disaster, let's say for example earthquake, so we are then everybody is as a volunteer is moving to that, and how we have to restore that built environment. And how we can manage those unskilled, untrained people as a civil engineer, as a project manager, so that we can get maximum benefit from by managing those volunteers. It is common when the local population of an area is affected by a natural disaster to mobilize voluntary labor to restore the built environment. These voluntary crews include individuals with little or no construction background or training. So then they are talking that the CARE International is under organization the UNO. CARE International had financed the material for the original reconstruction of 200 small houses. Within months, it became clear that the quality of the locally manufactured concrete masonry unit was so poor that they would crumble and cause the floors and walls to crack. So quality was so poor that that labor was producing those concrete masonry units. So the small community was made aware of the scope, schedule, and status of the project through weekly town hall meetings. So they take help from the elders in the town hall meetings, and they brief them about the scope and about the schedule and status of the project and give them some training. A local experienced elder was hired to supervise the project. Volunteers supervised manufacturing of the concrete masonry unit and reported each week expenses to CARE International. So these volunteers, they were like they when after they got the training, so then they were like reporting their progress. So what happened is that experienced worker were paid a stipend. The 200 houses were finished ahead of schedule in 5 months and below the budget. So that 6-month project was completed in 5 months and below the budget. So this is like how, as a civil engineer, if you are the project manager or you have to restore that built environment in disaster hit areas, in flooding or in earthquake areas, or something tornadoes or any other natural disaster. So then we should try to provide little training to those unskilled people who are coming to help restore that built environment, and by this way we can manage those volunteers labor crews, and we can increase the productivity. With this little background, now we are going to discuss one main topic, like we are going to learn mathematically how, what is labor hour and what is productivity and what will be the labor burden. So all these things, inshallah. So what is labor hour? One worker working for 1 hour. Okay. So very simply, one worker working for 1 hour is one labor hour. Productivity rate is labor hours divided by quantity. Okay, so productivity rate is productivity rate of labor hour divided by quantity based on the historical data for average and standard conditions. Okay, so productivity will vary. Like here, we are going to put some simple example. It took 170 labor hours to complete 10,000 square feet of slab formwork. Like we have to construct a slab, that slab formwork. So we have to fix the formwork under the slab, to cast the slab. So total quantity of that work formwork is 10,000 square feet. Okay. Now there was a 170 labor hours. Okay. So then productivity rate we can calculate 170 labor hour divided by quantity. 170 divided by the quantity of work, 10,000 square foot area of that formwork. So productivity rate is 0.017. Okay, 0.017 labor hour per square foot. Labor hour per square foot. So now it's there is another example how to labor productivity. We have a type of work is 8 inches by 8 inches by 16 inch concrete masonry units. And these are the concrete blocks. Concrete blocks. 8 inch is 8 inches the height, 8 inches the width, and 16 inches long. Okay. So one concrete block. Then quantity is 1,700 square foot. Okay. So we measure the quantity of these block work in square foot. Okay, with how much is the thickness of that wall. So wall thickness is 8 inches. And how much the area is 1,700 square foot area of that wall. So now labor hour is 170. Labor hour is 170. So productivity rate will be 170 divided by 1,700 quantity of that concrete wall. This concrete masonry unit wall or blockwork wall. So the productivity rate is 0.10 labor hours per square foot. Square foot. Okay. No, it's these labor hour from the same formula. Productivity was labor hour over quantity. Now we can find from the same formula labor hour is equal to quantity multiplied by productivity rate. We can adjust labor hour, okay? Labor hour with the productivity factor. Labor hour with the productivity factor. So if it's productivity factor is like it's always greater than 1 for below average conditions. Okay, so greater than 1 when conditions are worse than average. Okay. Where it is 1 for every condition, it is less than 1 for above average conditions. Okay. So it means when the work is easy, so the productive factor will be less than 1. For every condition, it is 1. For worst condition, like difficult conditions, it will be always greater than 1. So that in the difficult conditions, we can make, we cannot finish work within the same labor hours. We need more time. The productive factor will be greater than 1. It will be like we will get the adjusted labor hours. Okay. So here these productivity factor, like when the conditions slow the progress of work, when the conditions slow the progress of work, like say we are working under the sun, under heat, or very congested area at the top. We are standing on the 80th. We are constructing the column at floor number 80. So a very congested area for standing the labor. So difficult conditions. A productivity factor greater than 1 is used, thus increasing the number of labor hours to complete the unit of work. A productivity factor of greater than 1 is used when conditions are worse than average. Okay, when conditions are difficult and worse, we can use productivity factor more than 1. A productivity factor of less than 1 is used when the conditions are better than average. Okay. So for average, it is 1. For when conditions are better, it means conditions are very comfortable. You are working under air conditioning or inside closed environment, so your productivity will be more. So you can work more comfortably and you can produce more. Okay, so your productivity will be more. But when you are working, at height under the sun, so then or in confined space, then your productivity will reduce. Okay. So these are the factors that can affect the productivity. So availability of trained craft person, or whether we have a trained person or untrained person, or so this will affect the productivity. Or the climatic condition, too hot or too cold conditions, we are working under in the snow, or there is a rainfall, or there is snow, or very high wind is blowing, or sandstorm. So like this, so there is a these things are going to affect the productivity, like working condition, limited working space, okay, limited storage area, waiting for material deliveries, restricted movement around the site. So there is other consideration can be, laborer can go for breaks, for washroom, for coffee break, for drinking water. There is a cleanup time for something. So all the time machinery is not running. So availability of equipment, people are waiting for the equipment. So these things are going to affect the productivity. Okay. So with these things, when they are going to affect the productivity, next numerical problem we are going to solve, that how we are going to adjust the labor hours. Okay. So now the type of work is 8 inches by 8 inches by 16 inches. These concrete blocks or concrete masonry units, decorative, or with the face is decorative. Quantity of work is 1000 square feet. Okay. Productivity rate is given as 0.1 labor hour per square foot. Then productivity factor 1.1 is given, so it is more than 1. Conditions are worse. Okay. So that labor hour will increase. Crew comprises on 5%, 3 are mason and 2 are helper. Okay. So now when there are one crew, there are 5 people. So 3 mason. So 3 by 5, how much percentage? 60%. 60% labor hour will be performed by mason, and 2 by 5, it will equal to the 40% by their helpers. So now labor hours is equal to quantity multiplied by the productivity rate. So it's 1000 quantity of work is 1000 square feet quantity of work multiplied by the productivity rate is 0.1. So we got 100 labor hours. Okay. So in standard normal way is 100 labor hours. But adjusted labor hours, we will multiply it by the productivity factor, that is 1.1. So instead of 100 labor hours, we need 110 labor hours to complete this work, because productivity factor is more and conditions are worse. Then for the masons, how much from 110 labor hours will go to mason? There are 3 masons. Okay. 3 by 5 means 60% will go to the labor hour. It will go to the masons. So it's 0.60 multiplied by 110. So it means 66 labor hours will be paid to the masons, which are there are 3, and then there are 2 helpers. So 2 by 5 is 40%. So 40%, 0.40 multiplied by 10. So we got 44 labor hours. So among the 110 labor hours, 44 will be paid to the masons, and 66 will be paid to the masons and 44 to the helpers. So this is like how we apply the productivity factor. When the conditions are worse than the average, or when conditions are going to slow down the progress of work. So then productive factor is important. It's going to we need more time to complete the same quantity of work in the difficult conditions. Okay, so let's move to the next slide. Is open shop. Let's talk a little bit open shop. Like workers, they does not belong to the unions. Employees of the open shop contractor or subcontractors are having greater flexibility with multiple skills. Okay. So what is the advantage that when these workers, they are not employees of the union, the advantage is there is a less restrictive work than union. Okay. So rules and regulations, these are free people, like in our Saudi Arabia or in other developing country, Pakistan. So you can go and see at some place you will find in the morning these open shop people standing. And you can take those laborer. So they are like they does not belong to the union and they are independent. So less restrictive than union. Disadvantage is that no apprentice program for training for these workers that they does not belong to the union, so they are not getting training annually, so they are not getting promotion, in official way or the after service benefits also. Union carpenter has gone through a structured apprentice program to become a union carpenter. So now people are working under the labor unions, so they are like they are permanent employees and they are getting training, so they get promotion also. And so union carpenter, they receive lot of training and they become the union carpenter. They're like a certified person. You are sure that he will give the workmanship and quality to his work. So now let's talk about the labor burden. Okay? Labor burden. So now what we are going to learn in this is like you have you are an employee of a company. So company will pay you the monthly salary, but company will also pay some other benefits. Like retirement benefit or medical allowance or some other health insurance, whatever, so unemployment. So like how much a person is going to cost to the company, including his take-home salary, including other all benefits. So this we will calculate mathematically, we will learn what is the take-home salary and what are the other benefits. So in case of labor, we will see what are the wages and what are the other benefits. Okay, we will learn about mathematically, all these things. Wages paid to labor without benefits are known as bare hourly wage rate or bare wage rate. So wages paid to labor without benefits are known as bare wage rate or bare hourly wage rate. Like the without any benefit, it's take home salary, that we are going to pay them. So contractor incurs additional costs, which are known as labor burden. So though there are additional costs, that a number of additional costs we are going to learn now. So like first one is subsistence pay, okay, or cash equivalent allowances. So paid for the employee's own tools or for the use of his personal vehicle. Okay, that we are going to pay for the employee's own tools. Like we have a plumber or electrician, we give them a box where he has his own toolbox to carry out his work. Okay. So company pay for that one. So it's additional, company is going to pay, or for the use of a personal vehicle. Okay. So treated as wages. This is we are going to treat as his wages. Okay. And it is different from reimbursement. Okay, so what is reimbursement is always based on the actual cost. Okay, say for reimbursement is that you are an employee of a company, and company will ask you to tomorrow you buy this thing from the market. So you go and you bring this any small tool you bought from the market and you bought it in the company. Okay. So company will pay you this. company will reimbursement company will pay you return you based on the actual cost. Okay? Based on the actual cost, like whatever you spend, you will present that invoice to the company, and company will return that money to you. This is reimbursement. So now, what is the other labor burden example is payroll taxes. Both the employer and the employee are required to pay 6.2% social security tax. Both have to pay 1.45% Medicare tax. Company is going to pay like 6.2% on the first 106,800 of wages. Okay, so they put every year this ceiling will be different, but you will understand inshallah when we solve numerical. It means if the person's wages will be more than this 106,800, then it will apply on this 106,800. But if the wages will be less than this, like a person earn only 100,000, so then the 6.2% will be applicable on his actual wages. So this rate can ceiling government of USA is going to set every year, and they can change it. Then Medicare is 1.4% of applicable on all the wages. Okay, so company will contribute 1.45% on all the wages towards the Medicare for the employee. Next labor burden is unemployment insurance. Okay, the Federal Unemployment Tax Act. Okay, and State Unemployment Tax Act at the rate of 6.2% on the first 7,000 of each employee's wages. Okay, so there is like how much is we will learn in the numerical also, that how we are going to apply this federal unemployment tax or state unemployment tax. In USA we have the federal government, we have the state government. State government like New York State, California state government. So this is a rate is 6.2% on the first 7,000 of the employee wages. Then another labor burden is worker compensation insurance. Worker compensation insurance, it is compulsory insurance for all employees, which include medical insurance, lost wages due to injury on the job or occupational illness, or compensation if killed on the job. Okay? So you lose his life, so his family will receive the compensation. It is paid entirely by the employer and is a labor burden. Okay? So it's a labor burden. It is entirely paid by the employer, by the company. So it is going to vary. Okay, vary worker class, like a high risk task such as a worker working on roofing, low risk task such as a worker working on the office. So for that rate will be different. Okay, depending on if risky job, so then there is more chances of accident, so rate is higher. If there is a less risky, or there is a less chance of having this accident. Company's accident history, so depends upon the company's accident history. Some companies, they take care for safety and they pay attention, so they have less accident rate. So their insurance also like less. For those companies, they don't care for not pay attention, so then they need to pay more premium to get the insurance. Compensation rates are based on actual losses. Okay, compensation rates are based on actual losses. The companies must take measures to improve safety and reduce the cost of accidents. Okay, so this compensation rates, if company they do investment in safety, and by this way they can reduce the accidents, or they can provide accident-free workspace, work environment to their workers. So this is that they want to encourage that companies should invest in safety, and they should provide safe working environment to their employees. So on average, worker compensation insurance is 7.25 per $100 of wages. So it's like 7.2% of wages. So we are going to discuss all these labor burden. We will apply numerically, in the question next time. So at that time, you will things will be much clearer mathematically how we are going to calculate all these labor burden. So next labor burden is general liability insurance. Provides the company with protection from lawsuits arising from negligence of company's employees. So it's like all risk insurance, like it's bodily injury, property damage, or loss damage to one's reputation of the company. So it includes contractual all risk insurance. So if there is anything, like people in Saudi Arabia and Riyadh, there is a metro project, so people are working at the top. So if something drop on the windscreen, so then the insurance will cover for the pay for the insurance for the broken screen of the vehicle. So this is a liability insurance, okay, that protect the company from any lawsuits rising because of their employees. So there is other insurance like insurance benefit. Some companies often provide employees with health insurance or dental insurance or life or disability insurance. So other insurance benefit, if some companies they pay, we can calculate also those. So what next labor burden is a retirement benefit, retirement contributions. Okay, employer contributes money to the employee's retirement plan, retirement program. An employer may contribute $0.5 for every $1 contributed by the employee on 6% of an employee's wages, on 6% of the employee's wages. So it's if employee will contribute $1, company will give $0.5. Okay, sometimes company give same $1, or company contribute equally, or they contribute $0.75 if the employee contribute $1. Okay, there is a union payment. When employees belong to a union, the employer is responsible for making payment to the union according to the union contract. Provide the retirement or insurance or apprentice program like training program. So the contract will be with the contract with the union, and that rate will be different what actually the employee will be getting as a take-home salary. So there is a benefits for the union employee. There are benefits for the union employees, of course, for training, for their promotion, for annual increment, for medical allowances. We will discuss, calculate all these mathematically, inshallah. Now here we are going to burden hourly wage rate. Okay, so it means what we are going to calculate is that there is the wages plus all benefits. Okay. So that will be like the total how much per hour cost of laborer is person is going to cost to the company, including his wages plus all benefits. Okay. So how we will calculate mathematically this? So we will apply this from burden wage rate. Okay, so it is all the wages, annual wages plus all annual benefits. Okay, divided by billable hours, like how many hours that person actually worked in the company, okay, per year. No billable hours, they say in US they exclude like a vacation. They people, the worker, they receive the vacation. They are paid holidays. They are paid, or the sick leave is paid. Other unbillable hours. So in US there is a total 3 weeks in total. So 3 weeks vacations are a person or an employee they can get leave for 3 weeks annually. You know. Other than the other national holidays, like in Saudi Arabia, we have Eid al-Fitr holidays, Hajj holidays, or Eid al-Adha holidays, Yom al-Watni. So other than that, probably Saudi government pay 1 month paid, holidays for 30 days, and USA they pay for 3 weeks. Okay. So 7 days a week, so it's 21 days. Okay, now we apply all those, labor burden benefits that we have discussed before. We will apply it mathematically in this question, to calculate mathematically how much is the labor burden and how much the bare hourly wage rate. Okay. So for this, the example is like a craft is a mason, and his wage rate is $29 per hour. Okay. Then given data is that this person worked 50 hours per week for 20 weeks, and 40 hours per week for 29 weeks. Okay. So you can add 20 weeks, 20 weeks, and then 29 weeks. So this becomes 49 weeks. 49, 3 weeks are paid holidays, so this will become 52 weeks annually. So there is a paid vacation, holidays, and sick leave for 3 weeks at 40 hours per week. Okay. So overtime, time and a half for any hours over 40 hours per week. Okay. If a person works 8 hours per week and 5 days a week, so it means 40 hours per week is the normal working hours. If the person works more than that, so then extra hours will be paid as overtime, and overtime rate will be 1.5 times more than the normal rate. Like here, this person, they work 50 hours per week for 20 weeks. It means for 20 weeks, this person was working 10 hours more. Okay, 10 hours more per week, it's 2 hours per day. So 2 hours per day. Is some 10 hours per week, extra time more than 40 hours. Then company pay him also gas allowance, $100 per month. Okay, this is given that annual bonus he is going to get $500 annually. So then company also pay for him is social security 6.2% on the first 106,800 of wages. Medicare company pays 1.45% of all the wages. Then there is a federal unemployment tax act. Okay. It's 0.8% on the first 7,000 of wages. So like federal unemployment tax company pay 0.8% on the first 7,000 of wages. State unemployment tax 4.5% on the first 18,000 of wages. So then there is a worker compensation is 7.25 per $100 of all the wages. So it's like 7.2% of all the wages. General liability insurance is a company pays 0.75% of the wages. Health insurance company portion is $300 per month per employee. $300 per month per employee. Then for the retirement, company pays 0.5 per $1 contributed by the employee on 6% of the employee's wages. And 6% of the employee's wages. So this all data is given. Based on this data, we will find the what is burden, hourly wage rate, and labor burden. Okay. In the solution, now we start the solution. So first we calculate the annual wages. Okay. So annual wages, this person work for 40 hours. He get paid 40 hours per week for 52 weeks. Okay. The rate was 29 per hour. Okay. Plus he worked 10 hours extra time for 20 weeks. Like there was a 50 hours for 20 weeks. So it means 40 was the standard. So 10 hours per week was extra for 20 weeks. Okay. And rate was 29 multiplied by 1.5. So overtime was 1.5 times more. Plus this worker they got 100 per month for multiplied by 12 annually. So 1200 is like they pay him the gas allowance. And then there was a annual bonus. This person was receiving one time $500 as bonus. So his wages becomes 70,720. Okay, 70,720. Like this is like take home salary. Now the company pay for social security tax. It was 6.2% on the first 106,800 wages. So but this person's wages are less than 106,800. So it means here the company will pay the social security on his actual wages. On his actual wages. So 6.2% means 0.062. Multiplied by 70720. So this is social security is 4,384.64. Medicare is 1.45% on all wages. So 1.45% means 0.0145 multiplied the wages. So company pay for medical $1,025. Then there is it's a federal unemployment tax. So it was 0.8% on first 7,000 of wages. Okay. So 0.8% means 0.8 multiplied by 7,000 of the wages. Okay. So a company just pay for 7,000 of the wages. Okay, not for all the wages. Okay. So this will multiply with 7,000. So company pays annually $56 for this one. SUTA is State Unemployment Tax Act. For this head, company pays 4.5%, means 0.045. So on the first 18,000 of the wages, okay, not on all 18,000 of the wages, this data is given, So company pays $810 annually for a state unemployment tax. Then worker compensation insurance was 7.25% or 7.25 per $100 of the wages. So it's 7.25 divided by 100 multiplied by all the wages, which is 70,720. So company pay worker compensation towards worker compensation insurance. Company pay 5,127. One is for the general liability insurance, company is going to pay 0.75% of all wages. So 0.75%, 0.75 divided by 100, so it will become 0.0075 multiply with the wages. So company is going to pay $530 for the general liability insurance. Then for the health insurance, company portion is 300 per month. 300 per month. So for annually, company pay 3,600 for health insurance. So in the next, retirement, retirement benefit. How much company was paying. Because company share was 0.75. 0.75. Like $1 contributed by the employee, company will contribute $0.75 on 6% of the employee wages. So 6% means 0.06, 6 divided by 100, so 0.06 wages, 70,720. So company share was 0.75. Okay. So it means company pay towards his retirement annually 3,182. So now we calculate, add up all these 8 items. So this becomes all the benefits. So it means company, in addition to his wages, company is going to pay 18,715 for all his benefits. Okay, for all his benefits, including Social Security, Medicare, federal unemployment tax, state unemployment tax, worker compensation insurance, general liability insurance, health insurance, retirement. So all these 8 items, they are going to become a total benefit is 18,715. Now, how many hours this person has worked annually? He worked 50 hours per week for 20 weeks and 40 hours per week for 29 weeks. So it means annually he performed work for 2,160 hours. Okay. So hourly wage rate is, we will take his all the wages plus his all benefits divided by how many hours this person has worked annually. How many hours this person has performed the job. So it means burden hourly wage rate is 40.41 per hour. Okay. This is burden hourly wage rate. So bare hourly wage rate will be like it was given to us in the beginning that it's 29. Wage rate was 29 per hour. So this was the bare hourly wage rate. So labor burden was 41.41 minus 29. So it means the company was paying extra $12.41 for $12.41 per hour for this person as a labor burden. So burden hourly wage rate becomes 41.41 per hour. 41.41 per hour. So this person is going to cost to the company for $41.41 per hour. But their hourly wage rate 29, and then the labor burden, all benefit that company was contributing, that was going to count 12.41 per hour. So in this chapter, we are going to learn how much labor is going to cost us per hour. Okay? So if we know the cost per hour, we can also calculate weekly cost or monthly cost or the annual, how much person is going to cost to the company annually. So here we have calculated actually on annual basis that what is his labor burden and what is his burden hourly wage rate. So this person is going to cost us actually 41.41 per hour. Okay. So from this example, we are going to understand also how the system works in the developed country, that companies, they are going to contribute towards social security, Medicare, unemployment, and worker compensation, general liability insurance, retirement benefit. So when people get unemployed, so the system is going to pay them. System is going to pay them. Or if people get retired, so they will get a retirement benefit. So this is like how the system works in the West or in all developed countries. They are welfare state because they get employees get social security, they get Medicare, they get worker compensation, and they get health insurance. So everybody medical is covered, retirement benefit. This is the way the system works in the West. Now, how we are going to pricing labor? So, if we have to make estimate for bidding, we can also have labor cost as adjusted labor hours multiply weighted average burden wage rate. Weighted average burden wage rate. So, we take the example. From the previous example number 3, there were 110 labor hours. There were 110 labor hours. So there were 3 masons. Rate for them is 41.41 burden hourly wage rate. So 3 multiplied by 41.41, we are going to get 124.23. 2 helpers. The helper were getting at the rate of 26.84 burden hourly wage rate. So we multiply 2 multiplied by 26.84, we got 53. So we add up 124.23 plus 53.68. Total we are going to get 177.91. Okay, so then we have 5 people. We can make average. We can divide this total with 5, and then we will get weighted average burden wage rate. That will be equal to 35.58. So now, how many labor hours? Labor hours were 110 labor hours. So we can multiply with the weighted average burden wage rate by this way. So labor cost will be 3,913.8. So what we are going to get from this, that when we are going to prepare estimate in bulk or at the bidding time, we can use a weighted average burden wage rate, like for the mason or helper. So we can use this rate like 35.58 weighted average burden wage rate for the estimate purposes. But actually when we will pay to these people during the project execution, so then salary, like the wages will be different. For the mason will be more and for the helper will be less. Okay, like for senior engineer salary is different, for a junior engineer salary is different. So same is applicable in different trades. If there is a like carpenter, a certified electrician, there is a mason, there is a plumber, and then there is a helper. So we need to differentiate, and we have to pay them according to their, how much they are going to, according to their level of contribution. So their salary, their burden hourly wage rate will be different for each. Mason will be different, for carpenter will be different, for electrician will be different, for helpers will be different. But for the purpose of estimate, we can prepare the estimate with the weighted average burden wage rate. So this will make our calculation more simple. So with this, we have finished this chapter that how we are going to make a labor cost. We took the example of a mason, and we have find out how a mason is, what is their bare hourly wage rate, and how much is labor burden, and then how much is going to cost us as a burden hourly wage rate. Okay, burden hourly wage rate. So with this, we have finished this chapter. Inshallah, next time, inshallah, we will discuss another chapter. This chapter will provide a lot of information to you that how we are going to calculate the cost of labor. Okay, cost of labor. So including their wages plus all their benefits. Okay, so for the construction projects, and these productivity rates are available online. So if the quantity, we know the quantity, so we can multiply with those productivity, we can find the labor hours. So it's very easy that once we know the labor hour, we know the from the market their cost, we can calculate the estimate, how many labor hour are required and how much is the cost of the project. So with this, we are going to close this, chapter. It's about construction labor. So at the end, allow me to say, Subhanakallah, wa bihamdika, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Thank you very much. So nice of you. Inshallah, talk to you next time. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.